Hey Nathan, did you watch all the Jurassic Park movies?
Yeah, I did. And I mean, at least the first three. I forgot how good they are. My favorite part is how Littlefoot, who's a long neck, he has to go off and find the Great Valley. That's great.
Uh, Nathan, are you sure that you watched Jurassic Park?
Yeah, like the first three of them.
Yeah, the dinosaur movies about, the theme park based around dinosaurs coming back to life.
Um, the theme park thing must be a subtext because I didn't really pick up on that. But Littlefoot is so cute. I love those movies.
Nathan, I think you accidentally watched The Land Before Time.
Yeah,
What did you guys watch?
Jurassic
Jurassic
Park.
Park.
That's not the same thing?
No.
No.
Oh.
One of them is a kid-friendly version of the other, I think.
Oh. All right. Give me several hours and then we'll restart.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Ignore the Bell. My name is Nathan,
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Luke.
and we are talking about the first three Jurassic Park movies. So we're not talking about Jurassic World. I guess we can say we're talking about all of the Jurassic Park movies because now they're branded as Jurassic World.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about Jurassic Park movies. So Jurassic Park The Lost World, not Jurassic Park 2, but
Actually, I
Jurassic Park.
believe it's called The Lost World Jurassic Park.
Oh, even better. Even better. The Lost World Jurassic Park, which is a sequel, but it's not called 2. And then there is no 2. And then all of a sudden, Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
Not a 3, but like the three lines, the Roman numerals,
Yeah.
but like from a raptor claw. Ugh.
Yeah.
Graphic design. Brilliant.
Oh man, there is so much to talk about these films.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a great time. Now we do have a sponsor for today's podcast.
Absolutely. I am so proud of this sponsor. So proud that they are willing to sponsor us for this episode. Our sponsor for today is Savory Shavery Edible Shaving Cream.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
I
Can you
know,
tell us a
because
little bit about the product?
yeah, for sure. I mean, because when you're shaving, which I don't really, do very often, but if you shave, you use the shaving cream. Sometimes it gets in your mouth, and then it just tastes awful, and you're just like, what was that? Savory, shavery, edible shaving cream. It tastes okay. It is fully edible. You are able to consume it, which is great. The taste is okay. It's not great. It's not like you would want to put it on a pie, but if you did, it'd be fine. Yeah.
And they say that there's no truth in advertising anymore.
I know,
More
right?
things should advertise as it tastes okay.
Yeah.
It is safe to consume. Maybe not recommended to consume, but it's safe.
Yes, I mean
Um,
its primary purpose is shaving cream, but
yeah. Now, are there any secret compartments with this thing? Like, am I going to get a full thing of shaving cream slash whipped cream in this?
oh, well, there's about this much that is pure shaving cream,
Okay.
and then the bottom this far about is a secret compartment which will not be checked at any border crossings
Sweet.
or anything like that. If you need to store, whatever you want in
Like my
there,
razor blade in there?
yeah, that's a good idea. Definitely don't put anything illegal in there or,
Okay.
against the rules because I don't think that's what they had intended with this shaving
Maybe some
can.
chocolate covered strawberries. I could like pop it out. For a picnic, you're on a date.
Yeah.
Boom. Pour them out.
Oh
Thought
man.
I was just gonna shave.
Right. Yeah.
You could do both. You shave for the date, and then you pop it out. Get those strawberries. Here you go, sweetheart.
Yep. Yeah. I've already seen a couple videos of that being a wedding proposal. You just pop it out and there's the ring.
Brilliant. I love it. So romantic. All right, folks, go get your savory, shavery. What's the rest of it?
Edible shaving cream. Yeah.
Here we go. All right, folks, I hope that you enjoy the podcast, and I shall now sing an a cappella version of the Jurassic Park theme to lead us in.
Oh man, I wish this discussion could go on forever.
Ignore the bell. We're gonna keep going, people.
All right, so we were talking about Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park 3.
Yes. And on the note of the titles, I did want to point out on my copy of all 5 Jurassic Park / World films, then Jurassic Park 1 in French is listed as Le Parc Jurassique. Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, is listed as Le Monde Perdu, Jurassic Park. Not Le Parc Jurassic.
The language laws in Canada are amazing.
I don't know how that happened. But okay.
I think I know, though. No, but I'm pretty sure that I understand because it has to be that the majority of the title has to be in French. So because they called it Le Monde Perdu, then you can then say Jurassic Park because you just did 3 words. So the majority are in French, and then the other 2 can then you can brand it as Jurassic Park. But Jurassic Park, you're stuck.
Right.
I think that's it. I'm not even kidding because the language laws in Canada are amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have a plan for how you want to approach this, but I just want to say, how is it possible that Steven Spielberg directed Jurassic Park, which is so spectacular, and then The Lost World? How is that the same director? What happened?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really great question, and I definitely I had heard before that Spielberg really likes to do these 2 different conversations going on at the same time. He likes to do this in quite a few of his films, but it is poorly done in The Lost World. You have so many instances of these 2 different conversations overlapping, and you're not sure where you're supposed to be, looking, let alone where you're supposed to try to listen.
That's a good point, because that is absolutely one of the features of The Lost World that you get. That is a Robert Altman feature. Robert Altman, he's since passed away, but he really started that in Hollywood. No other director. He started making films, I think, in the 60s, early 60s. One of the films that he made, which you guys would know the name of, is MASH. He made MASH, which then got turned into a TV series. But Robert Altman had this idea for filmmaking where he said, in the real world, especially if you've got a group of people in a room, there will be multiple conversations happening at once, and it can be confusing because depending on who you're paying attention to, you can actually follow that conversation and then join a different conversation. Like if you're at a dinner table and there's multiple conversations, you can effectively tune out one group and then tune in another group and then switch. So he's like, why don't films represent that? And then it's like, I mean, you can do it, but what Robert Altman was doing they were not action movies where it's like, we need to know what's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
They're more like, ensemble character pieces. You know what I mean? And in this, you're like, what is going on? It's just cacophonous.
Yeah. Luke, do you have any thoughts on these?
You guys pretty much summed it up. It's like, yeah, it is weird. Like, yeah, as Nathan said, I can get doing it in like something like a sitcom or like even something else. But like an action movie is just like one of the weirdest spots to do it. And
yeah. And I mean, it's not just that in The Lost World. It's also like right at the very beginning, you get this, I don't know, this rich family, doing their yacht cruise, and they go to the island, and then this girl is surrounded by all these tiny little dinosaurs. I don't know their names, but whatever, this type of dinosaur. And then we cut from her screaming, like mid-scream, then we just cut from her, which we don't see what happens to her. We cut from her to Jeff Goldblum yawning in front of an advertisement for a beach.
Such a terrible transition.
What happened here?
What mood are you trying to establish with this film? And I mean, okay, I guess this is my point. Is there anything like, okay, this is hyperbole, Okay, so I don't want people to seriously answer this question. But is there anything worse than somebody who's not funny attempting to be funny? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Spielberg is not known for directing comedic films. And
Yeah.
then when he's trying to, and he's trying to have it both ways in The Lost World, where he's trying to create suspense and, you know, intense action sequences, but at the same time, you get a bunch of silly conversations and, you know, witty banter going on. And it's just
Yeah.
like, these things don't belong together. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. And you're right, Tyler, because right from the very beginning, that first transition from the first scene to the next of that scream that turns into Jeff Goldblum yawning with that weird mural in the background in a subway station,
Yeah.
it doesn't set up the film in the way that I think it should be set up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so confusing.
Mhm.
And like I literally mean like I don't know why they put it in there because it must be confusing. It confuses the tone of the film.
It does.
Are we
Especially-
supposed to be scared of the dinosaurs, or are we supposed to be yawning at, you know, a sequel? I don't get it.
And like especially with the setup for the first one where the first scene is the raptor in the cage and we don't even see the raptor, and then one of the guys gets dragged in, and like and so that scene, which is like amazing and really sets up Jurassic Park, then they have that one in the sequel, and it's just like, okay, I am not a like I'm just so confused now. Like it's just like such a weird scene to have, and especially like as Nathan said, when you look back at the first one, then it's like the same director who did that setup now is doing this one. Like, what? Are you sure? Like it's just so different.
Right. So
Yeah.
let me try to approach it this way. I think that we should start by considering what is so effective about Jurassic Park. And because to me, I rewatched Jurassic Park, the Lost World Jurassic Park, and then Jurassic Park, and I watched those ones, and I was thinking about what they're doing that Jurassic Park does not do. And I think that's the big distinction, is that the first Jurassic Park film, of course, is based off of the novel by Michael Crichton, who then he did write a sequel. He did write The Lost World before The Lost World came out, in part because Jurassic Park was so popular. So, you know, same writer, same director, all of that, but so different. And what Jurassic Park does so well is it sets up a mystery of how on earth have they actually done this. It's effectively a science fiction mystery film of trying to figure out how have they been able to get dinosaurs to come back. And they take great pains in the first film to establish how it is that dinosaurs can possibly exist. And it is incredibly believable. When you watch it, then you go, that makes a lot of sense. And then to see the whole setup of this is what it's going to turn into, and it's completely believable, where you can look at this and say, yeah, if somebody was able to find, you know, a mosquito caught in amber to be able to extract blood from it, to then, you know, use frogs to be able to clone them. Exactly. And that it would turn into a theme park, and that the way John Hammond has this vision is very much, he's a Walt Disney type of figure of he wants it to be available to everybody, not to the elite and the uber wealthy. So it's like, all right, that makes sense too. And then to set up the whole park and like how they go through the park, and you're just like, yeah, like on this track, you know, in these Jeeps, and that it's setting it up as being safe, and that the only reason that it ends up not working is because effectively you have internal sabotage.
Right.
And that, so the thing is, there's some tragedy involved in the first film that you go, he does have good intentions. It's such a brilliant idea. It's not really his fault. It's because of the greed of Newman. I don't remember the guy's name, like
Nedry?
but Nedry? Okay, yeah. Wayne Knight, I know, is the actor's name, but yeah, Nedry, is that the name?
Believe so.
Okay.
It's either Nedry or Ned something.
Okay.
Ned some Re.
And And then the other thing that Jurassic Park does so well is you get this sense of majesty from the dinosaurs, of
Yeah.
seeing them for the first time, the sense of awe that you have with, what's the, with Alan and what's the,
Ellie.
Alan and Ellie, who are just, you know, such great ideas for these characters who are paleontologists, who are seeing this thing for the first time, something they've studied and imagined and dreamed of their entire life, and to actually have it be real. And we're right there imagining alongside them, like how amazing that would be to experience that. And that's where the tragedy then comes from, that it turns into this terrifying nightmare of these, you know, monsters coming after them, and that all the safety features fall apart, which is what a lot of good science fiction does, right? It goes back to Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, of, hey, don't mess with what you don't entirely understand, because you can get yourself in too deep of water too quickly and not be able to resolve it. Like, that's considered to be the first, you know, science fiction story, and it really sets up that idea of science fiction, of, you know, if you're messing around with forces that you don't entirely understand, and maybe science can actually do that, then you could start to experience tragedy pretty quickly, and it could get out of hand very fast. And so that's, to me, what makes Jurassic Park work so well. And as a result of all of that, because you've got this tragic element to it of what could have been, then the action sequences work. There's so much suspense. It's a genuinely frightening film at times. And because you genuinely care about these characters and you want to see them be safe, and you've never seen dinosaurs do this before. Right. And then you get into The Lost World and then Jurassic Park 3, and all of that stuff is removed. There's no mystery. There's no majesty over these dinosaurs. The frightening sequences are not really frightening. You have a lot of what feels like just mindless action sequences, but nothing else. And all of these characters who were so likable in the first film end up becoming just like painful to watch at times. I don't know about you guys, but like Jeff Goldblum's character is so annoying in The Lost World.
He's a different character.
I
don't get it. Like, because he's still, you know, all about chaos theory and everything, but his personality has changed so much from the original Jurassic Park to The Lost World. I don't get it. He's not doing his Jeff Goldblum thing. And that's why everybody wants to go see the movie.
Agreed. I mean, unless you could say that it's because he has experienced trauma on the island the first time that his personality has changed so dramatically, but it really doesn't make sense. He is such a tiresome character where he is just berating everybody all the time. He's just chastising everybody. He's a nag for the entire film. And you're like, Jeff Goldblum is charismatic and quirky and eccentric and funny, and instead he's just scolding people for 2 hours of him just berating people, and suddenly, like, he's become, you know, some kind of expert in a way on dinosaurs, which makes no sense. He acts like Quint from Jaws, where you know what I mean? Like, I've seen the eyes, I got dead eyes, doll's eyes. You know what I mean? Like, that's how he acts. Like, he knows so much about these things, and it's like, you had a couple frightening days, but that doesn't. You're not a paleontologist,
right? So my understanding is that in the novels, and Ian Malcolm did not actually survive the first novel, and I'm not sure who is the main character of The Lost World. I might be mistaken about that, but I thought that I had heard that before, which is just interesting to think about. And it might just be, you know, that, like, well, Jeff Goldblum is a bigger draw than oh my goodness, now I'm blanking, Dr. Grant and Ellie or whatever. Yeah, I don't know if it was just something like that, where it was like, we need these, we need Jeff Goldblum in there, or else it's not going to be successful.
Yeah, I also found that weird because like Jeff Goldblum's character, like Ian Malcolm, it does not seem like a leading character in the first movie. Like I'm like he would be like the last person I would choose to be the leading character of a sequel.
Yeah.
And then they decide to go with him, and I'm like, all right, but like that's kind of a weird choice.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely. He's a great supporting character.
yeah.
But it doesn't make sense. And the thing is, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm watching The Lost World, both the first time and every time I've watched it after, I think I've only watched it twice, maybe 3 times. But I look at it and then I'm like, it just feels so much like a bad sequel of we couldn't afford to pay all of the stars from the
Yeah.
original, so
Yeah.
we've only got one of them. That's what it feels like. And then Jurassic Park 3 feels the same way of, well,
Yeah.
we couldn't afford to get the entire cast back together, so we're going to give you a partial cast, but we're going to charge you full price at the theater. And you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so strange. And it's also The Lost World is everything that people complain about with Jurassic World. Well, maybe not everything, but the riding on motorcycles through dinosaurs, like, including under the legs of the one. Like, why would you choose to go through there? You can go on either side, but because it looks cool, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you've got, I don't know. It's so weird and messy.
It's not a science fiction film. It's an action movie. And it's really
Yes.
a mindless action movie. But the first
Yeah.
Jurassic Park is legitimately a science fiction film.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You had kind of mentioned it before, but like in Jurassic Park 1, like you don't see the first dinosaur until Alan and Ellie are there in the
Yeah.
Jeep, and then even then you're getting their reactions before you get to see what they see.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's so beautiful because
It is.
and Ellie is so focused on this leaf. She's like, how is this around? Like, this
Right.
hasn't been around for however many millions of years. And Alan is just like, and,
Yeah.
he's speechless.
Yeah.
Both of them are, and that is beautiful. And then I don't know, you don't get that at all in The Lost World or Jurassic Park 3.
No.
The Lost World, starting out with those tiny little dinosaurs, and it's like, oh, okay, so those are the first dinosaurs that we're going to see in this dinosaur movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not in any kind of majesty, not in any kind of frightening way,
No.
but literally just, oh, there are these little things here. I don't get it. What is the tone?
Right. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That is exactly it. It's that the way the dinosaurs are introduced is this majestic, beautiful, awe-inspiring moment in the first film. And we haven't seen that since then. And I don't know that you can even replicate anything like that within this franchise, because once everybody knows that dinosaurs are real, then you can never have anybody experience that again for the first time. Because any leading paleontologist is then going to know, well, dinosaurs are real, and they'll have seen some video evidence of it, and whether they've seen them in person or not, but it's not I can't believe that this could possibly happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because The Lost World does set up the fact that the world was, they were restricted from learning about that. That InGen like completely hid everything. That they were like, no, that didn't happen. They covered up, what had happened to these people and everything.
Yes.
So there's at least that element of people could still be, surprised by that. But yeah, certainly by the time you get to Jurassic Park 3, then there's no sense of that whatsoever.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but even in the Lost World, though, then Malcolm, who goes back, already knows this. His daughter is certainly going to know that he's telling the truth. His girlfriend, Julianne Moore, is going to know that he's telling the truth. Like anybody who goes to the island knows what to expect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, it's even just the framing of it. In Jurassic Park 1 with that shot, the fact that we are down at the human level,
Yes.
looking
Mhm.
up at this gigantic creature, lets you soak in just how massive these things are. And in both The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, it always feels confined. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
that's yeah, it doesn't work then. It just
No.
doesn't. We need to have these open spaces to have these,
Yeah.
creatures be alive and just have a presence.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Like
Mhm.
that from a visual element, the spectacle of seeing them, that The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, they are completely confined films that you are just in the thick of the jungle and you don't really get to see these things all that much. And the first Jurassic Park does such an amazing job of introducing dinosaurs at first in a safe way where we get a bunch of herbivores, right? And we're not worried about anybody getting eaten. So you get to be just blown away by the spectacle of that. And then when you first get introduced to the T-Rex, then it's one of the best introductions to any kind of monster ever, right? Like it's such an iconic moment now of the ripples in a glass.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With and tying in with like Malcolm and chaos theory and all of that. It's such a great symbol of everything that's happening, right? Of just it starts small, but then it ripples out, and who knows what it's really going to do, and that it gets the ripples increase and the thud, that bass gets louder and louder, deeper and deeper, and and then they're trapped in this, like it's nighttime, so you can't see really well, but you can see well enough, and they're trapped in this Jeep, and it's raining, and it's such a great introduction to this spectacular thing that I think everybody's always kind of wanted to see, a
Yeah.
Tyrannosaurus Rex on the big screen that looks
Yeah.
totally realistic.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think there was a really big missed opportunity with everything Tyler is saying in the second one when the T-Rex is like when it gets to the city, and then well, you can have so many things with that, but like I feel like did it. I don't know. It was just like it was okay compared to what it could have been, because I think they should have in terms of the scale of the T-Rex and showing like how massive it is. You can easily do that when you put it in a city. Like you can match it up to buildings and how big it is when it's just coming out of the boat and all that.
Yeah.
And then you can have people's reactions and how they are just obviously terrified that a huge T-Rex is now in the city. And so it's just compared to what the first one did with showing like the dinosaurs in the first shot, and then also when it introduces the T-Rex, then in the second one it's just it's so underwhelming compared to the first one, because just the way that it's done, it's not like they had a bad idea or anything either, and it was just poorly done, and I don't really want to say poorly done because it wasn't like it was
I think it's
terrible.
poorly done.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think
poorly
it's
done as
just
well. It feels so tacked on. Like the entire film could have been them on the island. There's enough
Yes.
there. There's enough runtime there that's the whole thing. And then we jump however far into the future. We get no idea how long it is.
yeah.
But then, Jeff Goldblum and Julianne Moore, they drive up to this press announcement.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What has happened
Yeah.
here? There's
They look
no
like
sense.
they just arrived, but then how is the press all there? Because it's the middle of the night, so it feels like
Yeah.
it was a last minute thing, that it wasn't really scheduled. But then at the same time, how did they arrive by helicopter at the same time as a great big barge?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that a helicopter's faster than a barge.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the unanswerable question of how exactly the crew of the barge were killed, considering that, as they say, there were no other animals on this ship and the T-Rex was held in captivity. This is something that has like actually been confirmed that it's just like, oh, whoops. Like, that makes no sense. It's like, oh, so was there like a raptor on board or something? Whoops.
Yeah, because that makes no sense. Because like you see like one hand that's
Yeah.
like still attached to the thing. How did a T-Rex like? Can you imagine a T-Rex trying to bite that? Like, you know, it'd have to be a delicate little bite to be able to just leave the hand on there.
Right. Yeah. So you got that, which just makes no sense. Oh man. Yeah. But you know, and getting back to not getting back to, but just referencing Jurassic World. And I don't know if you know, both of you have seen Fallen Kingdom, but
I have not.
okay,
Like, you
but
have.
Yeah.
the very end of that film ends essentially the way that the, I guess, third act of the Lost World ends,
Yeah.
where you have dinosaurs on the mainland, and that it just ends like that, where it's like, dinosaurs are here now, like, what's going to happen? And that's a great way to, you know, put a cliffhanger to the story. And if they had done that with the Lost World, then I think that that
Yeah.
could have been pretty interesting. You know, the barge arrives, and then the T-Rex gets out, and you know that shot of him, you know, standing there, him or her, I think it's the him, right? Anyway, you know, of the T-Rex standing there with the city skyline in the background, you know, just cut to black right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And
That
that
would
would
have
have been
made
like,
it a much better film.
right.
Yeah.
It would have. It would have.
Yep.
Because that entire last act that you get with that film, that whole long thing of the T-Rex through the city is played for laughs and at the
Yeah.
same time is supposed to be this intense action sequence.
Yeah.
But it
Right.
absolutely is being played for comedy, and those things don't go well together. Because if you're looking at it, then like when it first shows up, you have the like really like the start of it is the T-Rex is in the suburbs. It's in this kid's backyard, right? And it's drinking from the pool, it eats his dog, and the kid just like patiently just gets up out of bed, doesn't scream, doesn't say anything, goes to his parents, you know, hey, there's a dinosaur in the backyard. And they're like, oh, like, I told you can't overfeed him. And then the parents scream and whatever, and it's supposed to be, ah, ha, ha, wouldn't that be funny if a kid just said matter of fact, there's a dinosaur in the backyard? It's like, yeah, it's not funny. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
The comedy sucks. A
Yep.
kid would not react that way.
Yeah.
But even if you think that a kid would, whatever, it's still not really funny. And so that entire thing is played for laughs. And the other thing that I think is maybe the most offensive part of this movie is when you have like, I don't know, a small group of random what looks like Japanese businessmen running,
Yes.
and it is exactly pulled from Godzilla, and they're
I'm
like,
so glad you
ah,
brought that up.
ah, and it is Godzilla.
Yeah. It's absolutely this gag of just, you know, these, it's like, oh, see, you know, they were visiting San Diego and still end up getting attacked by this giant monster. And it's like, what? This is horribly offensive. I don't get this. What are you doing?
I would love it if the movie was just an entire comedy. If this
Right.
like that felt like,
Yeah.
you know, like what Scary Movie did with like the Scary Movie franchise to all of
Yeah.
these horror films from the 90s and early 2000s. That's what that sequence felt. It
Yeah.
felt like something that belongs in the parody of Jurassic
Yeah.
Park: The Lost World, not not a sincere moment in the film. And you know that like Spielberg was like, people are gonna get this reference, and it's like, yeah, Steven, like it's impossible to miss. First of all, second of all, there's not much to get. We understand. There's been like 50 Godzilla movies, and there's always that Godzilla, And you did it. Oh, I see what you did there. And like, but then at the same time, he wants us to be like on the edge of our seat, like gripping the chair, like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, this is so scary. This is so intense. What's going to happen? And you're like, you can't be so funny. And then, oh no, so scary. So fun. So scary. Those things don't make sense. What? Like, is that how we people watch movies?
Yeah.
How is it that Spielberg can be so brilliant and then so bad? Like,
Yeah.
I honestly I don't know. So I do have a quick question. Is this the only sequel that Spielberg has done? Because I can't think of another one that he's done.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, if somebody could
Yeah, I don't
look
know.
that
Yeah,
up.
I don't have my
quickly.
phone in front of me, but I'll look it up.
Okay. Yeah, because I feel like it is, and so it's interesting to think that, like, potentially he just didn't know how to do a sequel.
He
Yeah.
definitely doesn't know how to do a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just to think of, like, Spielberg, this brilliant director that we all love. Oh, well, I guess he did the Indiana Jones movies, but we all
Yes.
know how Temple of Doom turned out.
Yes, you are right, because he definitely did
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, I don't know what it is, but he doesn't seem to know how to replicate, the
Yeah.
the success of the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird.
I don't have much more of a comment than that. Just like,
Yeah.
it's,
That is weird to think about. Because like
Yeah, as
yeah,
far as I can see, the only one that he has directed would be Indiana Jones. That aside from that, then he has not done a sequel, Indiana Jones, and then this, because this is, and I guess this is a genuine, like, I wasn't sure when to bring this up, but I want to know what you guys think, because what I have heard, generally speaking, is that people say that The Lost World is like not terrible, and then Jurassic Park 3 is really, really bad. But I am not, but not everybody agrees with that. Some people think that Jurassic Park 3 is better than The Lost World, and I want to know what you guys think, because, and I'll let you know right off the bat, I think that Jurassic Park 3 I think it's actually better than The Lost World. I don't think it's good. I'm not saying good.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying I think it's better.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
knew
even
that.
know.
I knew that we were going to get into this debate. What is the worst Jurassic Park film? We all know what the best one is, but what's the worst one?
Yeah.
Um,
I don't even know, because like with Jurassic Park 3, I watched it as a kid and I was like, wow, this is good. And then I watched
Sure.
it now and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I'm just, because I
Yeah.
remembered like all the good moments, and then I rewatch it and I'm like, why, how did I even like this? And then, so I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like I watched it almost like watching it for the first time, except for I had high hopes for it, really high hopes for it. And then
Yes.
it just, it's such a disappointment. So I'm like, and then the second one I've just never really cared about. So I don't know which one I like. I don't know which one I like more because I just like, I don't know. I really don't care
I
about either of them.
Right. I can explain, like, I'll give you my perspective on it. So I think the reason why I think Jurassic Park 3 is better than The Lost World is that The Lost World is just such a mindless, stupid action movie. It is so mindless. It is so stupid. You have no depth of character to anybody, and you really don't have, like, the couple paleontologists that we have in this movie, like the cowboy dude, with his vest and all of that, and then Julianne Moore. Like, okay, they're kind of dinosaur experts, but all that they do is they're just helping to advance the plot, to just say a couple random things, but
Yeah.
all of the other people ignore them. Nobody
Right.
cares about what they have to say in the least. But Jurassic Park 3, what I think it does better, and it goes back to the first film, is there's an appreciation and a respect, a sense of awe for dinosaurs, how incredible these creatures are, and then it goes through this whole thing of Alan Grant, by actually seeing dinosaurs in real life, by actually being around them, he's become bitter about them. And it's sad that he had this affinity, this appreciation for them, this sense of awe, and now it's a sense of resentment that he has towards them. It's not exactly terror, it's more that he resents them. He doesn't like, he still has a sense of awe, like he does. And then you've got his buddy who's a paleontologist who's like, you know, coming up in the field, and it's like, hey, you should maybe change your major. You know, like, nobody wants to study fossils anymore now that dinosaurs are real. And then you have the kid who's read Grant's books, and then he says, I liked your first one better before you went to the island. You actually liked dinosaurs then. Like, there's nothing in the Lost World that comes close to that line. Because that line, you get better characterization there than you do at all anywhere in the Lost World. I guarantee it.
That is such a great point, because like, thinking about the Lost World, you have just such stock characters. You have the hunter, you have the businessman, you have the guy who doesn't want to go back there. You have, like, it's all. You
have the naive paleontologist. Oh, what could go wrong? Like, this is great. Let's just like love dinosaurs. You have like the doe-eyed child of, I thought you wanted me here, Dad. Like,
and then you've got Vince Vaughn, the photographer,
activist.
Right. I mean, he's not exactly, he's like a blend of two different stock characters, but
he's kind of like macho action guy, but at the same time, like, environmentalist dude. But then they like even undercut that. They're like, oh, why are you in that? And it's like, oh, for the women. It's like 80% chicks. Right. So it's like, wait, do you care about the environment, or are you just trying to score? Like, which one is it, dude? Because then he does take away the bullets, like, where he's like, oh, I don't want you to shoot this dinosaur. So it seems like he does have some sense of ethics about preserving things, about preservation. But at the same time, it was undercut before, where he's like, I'm doing it for the women. Right. So,
like, I found also that he was such a, like, I don't know, it was so weird to see him in a Jurassic Park movie, because I've like seen him in other stuff, and then when I watched The Lost World, I'm like, wait, why are you in this? Dude. Like, this is like one of the weirdest casting choices I've seen ever. But
retrospectively, when you watch it and you go, wait, Vince Vaughn is in this?
I'm like, what? It's just like so weird, but like, I don't know. All the characters are just like, well, there's definitely not any memorable ones, because like they're way more memorable in the third one, even if they're like, they're not good characters, like, or at least most of them. And then like with the second one, it's just like, I don't know, none of them are memorable.
Yeah,
like, no, they're not. And Tyler, as you said, they are just stock characters in the second movie. But in the third one, we actually have real characters. Even the parents are real characters. Where, you know, like,
there is this great, just character study here. Maybe not great, but it is
not great. But there's a character study.
Yes. You know, of these, you know, two people who have gone their separate ways, and now through these extenuating circumstances, and they come back together. They remember what they love about each other. They've grown since the last time they were together. All of this actually brings them back together. That's fantastic. You get Billy, who is, you know, so fascinated by dinosaurs. He wants to, you know, bring back the eggs in order to, you know, keep his field alive and well, to fund it.
He's in this like field that nobody cares about paleontology anymore. They can't get grants or like research grants or funding at all for their research, but they're saying there's still valuable research to be done through the fossil record. And everybody's like, but dinosaurs are real now, like, or again, so we don't need that. And it's like, well, you actually really do. So then he's like, well, I'll make this like poor ethical decision to sell these on the black market to fund this, thinking, you know, like Grant wants to be doing this too. And you know what I mean? Like, and even the way Ellie and Alan have gone their separate ways, and how
Yeah.
she's now happy and she's married and she's got kids. Like, what did we ever get with Goldblum's character? The only thing that we have is some random girlfriend where we have no backstory on this at all.
Yeah.
And then he's got a daughter who's black, and they do not account for that at all.
They have one line where they said, do you see any family resemblance there? It's just shrugged off.
I know, that's what I'm saying. That's the only thing that you get. That's the only reference, and it's unclear what's going on with that. If like it is legitimately his daughter, but she just takes after her mother so much so, or if she's adopted. In the first film, he mentions how he's got so many kids.
Yeah,
from
he says
multiple
that he
partners.
has 3 kids.
Okay.
Yeah, and that he's always looking for a future ex Mrs. Malcolm.
Right.
Yeah, so we do at least get that little bit of a setup, but I agree that it's it's just so weird. Why did you make that choice? Like, why?
And like, let me compare the two. So, what's the little kid's name in Jurassic Park 3? Is it Billy? You said?
No, Billy is
like
very younger paleontologist.
Yeah. The kid's name is Eric.
Okay, let's compare Eric to what is Malcolm's daughter's name?
Oh shoot.
Something. Okay. Anyway, let's compare. So I'll start with Eric. This kid loves dinosaurs, which makes sense. It makes sense why he would then want to go whatever that's called, parasailing or something. Where he would want to go parasailing near the island as this like adventure tourism thing, where he wants to see them in person. Okay, it makes sense why he would be there. And then he's read up on dinosaurs, and he's somehow plucky and resourceful enough to survive on the island, in part because he does know basics about dinosaurs, right? And maybe more than the basics. And he's able to then help Grant by, throwing the like, I don't know what they are, the little like dust bombs or smoke bombs,
Gas
and
grenades? I don't know.
gas grenades, smoke bombs, whatever. So it's like, okay, so you saved him because you are a pretty, what would be the word? I don't know, like
resourceful.
Yeah, you're a pretty resourceful kid, and you're able to then like help Grant by doing that and save him, and because you know enough about dinosaurs and you're able to survive. But then you compare Jeff Goldblum's daughter. What do we know about her? She was cut from the gymnastics team. So what is she going to do to defeat dinosaurs? She's going to do a gymnastics routine where she literally kicks a raptor out the window.
Oh my goodness!
And like she doesn't even slow down by doing it. Like she's a superhero. So you go, the one kid throws gas grenades, and we know that he's resourceful, and you go, that makes sense. Because a little kid could do that and it would work. And if he's smart enough to think, if I do this, that will help save this person. But her, like, and then like you have like Jeff Goldblum, like, you said you were cut from the team? Like, yeah, she's such a great gymnast. As if like even Olympians, you tell them there's going to be a dinosaur, there's going to be some bars here. I want you to really do your routine and then, kick one out the window.
Right. Yeah. No. Oh my goodness. That scene is so bad. I hate that so much. It really is. Like, because she starts doing the gymnastics routine. Julianne Moore is like, wait, what are you doing? Get back here. And then the girl shouts at the dinosaur, at the raptor. She says, hey!
Yeah.
And the raptor stops going after her.
And then just observes, you're waiting for him to hold up like 4.2. Scoring this.
Yeah, the raptor stops, looks over, and then she kicks him. She keeps flipping and then kicks him out the window. And the raptor is just so enamored. He's like, "Ooh, look at her flip!"
I know, like it's just observing her, like and so like that to me. I'm saying from a character level, if you look at the kid in that one, and then the kid in Jurassic Park 3, you go, well, the kid in Jurassic Park 3 actually is like, there's more to his character, and it's more realistic. And and that he's got this other stuff of like he wants his parents to get back together, and obviously the divorce and her like his mom dating somebody else, like, you know, he's trying to get by with that, but he would like to see his parents be back together. He respects Grant, and he, you know, he's kind of sad that Grant no longer likes dinosaurs the way he used to. What do we know about Jeff Goldblum's daughter, though?
Just that gymnastics thing.
Just
That's
that one
literally it.
random gymnastics things that they like just mentioned as a throwaway line to be like, ooh, we'll get the little girl to kick a raptor out the window. What did the raptor, like, listen, like if you watch anything to do with like combat sports, you know that if you have like two heavyweights, one guy can uppercut the other guy. He doesn't go flying out of the ring.
Yeah.
He just, ooh, oh, all right. Like that
Yeah.
raptor wouldn't go flying out the window.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Like, how heavy is this raptor that like a kid can kick the raptor out of a window like that?
Goodness.
Like, it's
Yeah.
it's just like it's like one of those scenes where like you wonder who or if they even thought about it after they came up with the idea. One person was just like, hey, wouldn't it be interesting if someone kicked the raptor out of a building? And then they're like, that is an amazing idea. We're gonna have it be
love
a
it.
little kid. Yeah.
By a little kid.
Like, it's just
Okay.
like
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Luke, because you're right. Like how that came to be is such a good question.
Yeah.
So
Yes. So I think I will answer your question from before. I agree. Jurassic World 3 is better.
Jurassic
than-
Park 3.
Yes. Sorry. Jurassic Park 3 is better than The Lost World, because The Lost World is just there's just nothing to it.
No,
Everything
there's
is so
nothing.
shallow. There's just nothing there. And as frustrating as it is to watch Jurassic Park 3 and see, the talking raptor, Alan. Oh my goodness.
Okay, hang on. I want to talk about this. But finish your point, because
Yeah. So as frustrating as that is, it's not. I don't know. It's still not The Lost World.
Right,
There
'cause
are at least characters.
that's my point. Is
Yeah.
well, not only are there characters, because I'm saying Jurassic Park 3 has got characters for one thing, but it also has an appreciation for dinosaurs.
Yes.
Not
Yeah.
insert random scary monster in the jungle.
Right.
But
Yeah.
The Lost World is just, it could have been Godzilla and Godzilla's kids. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it could have been just any random thing. It didn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with an appreciation for the fact that dinosaurs, are a real historical thing that have existed on Earth, and that there are
Yeah.
researchers, scientists who have devoted their entire lives to studying the fossil record and trying to figure out everything they possibly can about that, and that there's this appreciation, and what happens to that appreciation if we did bring them back through cloning technology. The Lost World doesn't even consider that question. There's not like
Yeah.
anything. Like Julianne Moore to some degree is like trying to fix this T-Rex's like broken leg.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Like, but there's
Stupidest idea ever. Yeah, let's bring this T-Rex.
Yeah.
back.
yeah, like, but I'm like, how does that show that she's a paleontologist? She's acting like a vet. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
It's not a wow, like I can't believe working with a dinosaur, and she's just on the island, and she is so nonchalant when they show up.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? But so I look at that and I'm like, Jurassic Park 3 at least has an appreciation for dinosaurs, an appreciation for paleontology. There is this touch of sadness that hangs over the entire film of what science can do to history, right? That do you not get? Isn't it in Jurassic Park 3 where you have the I think it's Grant who says there's two kinds of kids growing up.
Yes.
There's the kid who wants to be the astronomer, and there's the kid who wants to be the astronaut. And that, like, that's a good line. That's an interesting comment
Yeah,
about
Absolutely.
growing up, of like, do you want to be safe and study something and really just learn everything you can about it in safe confines, which there is so much value in that? Or do you want to be an adventurer? Do you want to be going out there in dangerous situations where you're not necessarily studying these things as carefully as an astronomer, but you're doing incredibly valuable research, but the practical side of it, right?
Yeah.
And it's a great comment. So I look at that and I'm like, there's a lot in Jurassic Park 3 that's no good, but but it is much better than The Lost World. That The Lost World doesn't even have to do with dinosaurs. Like it could just be anything instead of dinosaurs. But Jurassic Park 3 really does have to do with dinosaurs. So with all of that being said, so I feel like I've tried to like justify why I think Jurassic Park 3 is actually better than The Lost World.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the bad stuff in it, because there's some bad stuff in this.
Yeah.
So I guess we might as well go with like the great moment of Grant who falls asleep on the plane and then wakes up to, come on folks, we all know it. We've all had this nightmare before. You know, you fall asleep on a plane, you wake up, you look across the aisle, and there is a velociraptor who then looks at you and then says your name. Alan. We've all had that dream before.
Oh man.
So,
It's
okay.
so bad.
But my question is, what was Grant more scared of? The fact that the dinosaur could talk, or that the dinosaur knew his name? He didn't even seem that freaked out that there was like a dinosaur there. It's like, oh no, there's a dinosaur there. And then it's like, Alan. And it's like, he can talk. Or is he going, he knows my name?
Yeah.
Yep.
The film had already essentially set up the fact that he's convinced that raptors can communicate.
Right. Yeah.
That they can talk to each other. They've got some kind of advanced communication going on. And so anyway, I guess that's what's going on in his head, is they can talk and they're so intelligent. They're smarter than even primates. And that they would have taken over the world if it wasn't for, the like asteroid that hit Earth, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, they existed 65 million years ago. Like, do you know how many things have gone extinct, like, between now? 65 million years is a ridiculous amount of time. Like, modern human beings, according to anthropologists, have only existed for, what is it, like, something like 20,000 years of, like, modern Homo sapiens? I think it's, like, 40 to 45,000 years ago is, like, the earliest form of Homo sapiens. But, like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in that range. But, like, you're not talking about even 100,000 years, let alone a million, let alone 65 million. So you're going, human beings on Earth, like Homo sapiens, according to anthropologists, have only been around for, tens of thousands of years, not hundreds of thousands. So the idea that he just, like, it's this, like, I can't believe that a paleontologist would ever say that.
Right.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it.
Yeah. Like, that, I don't know. It's weird. Like, especially because, like, I don't know. You would think that he's just like, oh yeah, they're like, I don't know, smart in terms of like a dolphin is smart, but like not like they're the smartest animal ever. Like,
it doesn't make sense, because even if they're smart, then the thing is like, if you ask an anthropologist, this is not a complicated question, but you say to an anthropologist, like, why is it that human beings have become, the most advanced species, right? And the answer is like, well, it's not only our intelligence, it's the fact that we are comfortable in groups, that we share information, that like we're very generous when it comes to sharing knowledge. But then even beyond that, opposable thumbs. So that way we can actually manipulate objects. And then we've got fine motor control, that we have dexterity, that makes a massive, massive difference. Because even if you put me in a raptor body, I would be helpless. I wouldn't be able to do anything. It doesn't matter how smart I am. You take the smartest human being ever, and then you give them little like dinosaur arms with claws, and then it's like, all right, now write your next great book. Continue your research. And they're like, I can't even have cereal anymore. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know this whole idea, but this movie is obsessed with like I'm like, how smart are they going to make raptors like in these Jurassic Park movies? If they just keep like they're just going to make them so smart that they're going to be like, we're interdimensional beings who see all the past, the present, the future all exists at once according to our species. We have a vast civilization. Like they're making like they're doing this instead of going, oh, they're actually like more clever and they work together. They're more clever than T-Rexes, so in a lot of ways you have to be more concerned with them, and you don't necessarily know when they're stalking you, but a T-Rex is, can't really sneak up on you very easily. It started with that to, they're incredibly advanced. Oh, they can communicate. They're like almost as smart as humans. They would have taken over the world. I'm like, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't even know what to say to that, but yeah, the Raptors are, I don't know, they are admired, they are, elevated to this superhero status of, they are, beyond humans. They are far better than humans. And it's like, no.
I know. It just keeps going. My next question about this movie is at the very end when Alan gets like the 3D printed whatever it is like from inside a raptor, right? However they communicate and make noise, but like essentially the raptor whistle that he has. Then they're surrounded by the raptors. And then like he gives them the eggs. Okay, maybe this will help. And then he sees that thing because he totally forgot about it. And then he blows it. And then what's his name? William H. Macy. I forget the character's name, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Then he's like, no, not that. Call for help. Number one. How did this dude who runs like a plumbing and paint store understand raptor language where he goes, wait, you just said, please eat us. Don't say that, though. Instead, say, call for help. Like, he understood what the first signal was somehow.
Well, I think it was supposed to be based on the raptor's response to the first call. Then he was like, that didn't work. Try something else. But
okay. But they have William H. Macy who's saying this. So then, even if he goes, whatever you just did, that didn't work. Try a different sound. Right. Then he says, call for help. Isn't it Grant who realizes that when they trap that one raptor, that he's calling for help?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did William H. Macy know that?
No.
But at some point in the jungle, then Grant went, William, I'm going to tell you something. When we trapped it, it called for help. Remember that. Like, why would he even communicate that with this dude who doesn't care about dinosaurs at all? And then, even if you go along with all of that, then at the end of it, then what? So Grant then goes, help, help, help. And all of the raptors go, like Zoink Scoob, let's get out of here. And they run off. Why would saying help make them run away? Why did he go, don't call for help, say, get away from me. I'm diseased meat or something. I have a condition.
I have so many questions about that scene. So many. I don't know how Dr. Grant knows how to change the pitch of that so well, so effectively, when he himself has never used it at all before. Because even when Billy created it, then he didn't, give it to him. So anyway.
He's also a world-class musician, apparently.
Right. Yes. But you can hear in the background, you can hear the helicopter blades. So it's... I see it as that it didn't actually do anything. The helicopters are what scared off the raptors.
Okay. That could be, and it's subtle enough that I missed it. So, all right. Because I was just like, what is going on? So maybe that's what happened, but the
But
film
even
doesn't
still,
make it obvious.
yeah,
Yeah.
and even still, why does he need to blow into that thing then? Like, I guess it buys them a little bit of time.
They're like I don't
Yeah,
understand
like-
why the Raptors react the way they
Yes.
do.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna say that too because they just like all kind of circle them and then they just stand there with like a weird stare down and then they're just like kind of standing there as Alan is doing whatever and they just watch him this whole time and then
Well, they don't
like,
just watch
it's
him though, because they also look around. It's as if they think
Yeah.
the sound is coming from somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it. And I guess the other thing that's confusing that tying this back to the Lost World, I don't know if you guys have like noticed this, but the premise, the plot device that both the Lost World has and Jurassic Park 3 is that dinosaurs are the best parents ever and they absolutely love their children. And that
Right.
humans are constantly stealing their children because in the Lost World, all of the issues surround the fact that they kidnapped this baby Tyrannosaurus Rex. And that's what causes all of the problems. And then they go to San Diego, and then like that's the problem, like why the daddy T-Rex is, terrorizing the city because he's smelling where his son is. And so he's trying to find him. So then they get him in the back of the vehicle and they're like, luring him to get him back into the hold of the ship and all of that, right? That it's all and remember, like, because it was like the one little bit of like paleontology is like there's an argument over like the like parenting instincts of T-Rexes, as though that's a big debate in the paleontology community. But okay, let's say that it is. Maybe it is. That seems really weird that we have any evidence that would indicate like one way or the other what kind of parents they
Yeah.
were. But fine. So then ultimately you go, oh, T-Rexes are like really loving parents and they care so much about their young. And then in Jurassic Park 3, the raptors are going after them like crazy because the dude stole 2 of their eggs. Number one, the eggs were unattended. So how much do they really care about the eggs if they would just leave them unattended? Number two, they had like 30 of them. So what difference does it make if like 2 of them are gone? Number 3, why does Grant say, how are they going to feel if like they catch us with the eggs on us? How are they going to feel if they catch us and we don't have them on us? Bum, bum, bum. And I'm like, what do you even mean? Like,
They're
Yeah.
raptors. They're going to eat you either way.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like they
Yeah.
make them so smart, like a supervillain of like,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm after you because I want my eggs back. And it's like, we don't have them anymore. We put them in a safe place. Not good enough. You took them. You should have kept them and then returned them.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of communication do they think is going to happen between them and raptors?
Yeah.
Apparently the kind that happens at the end of the movie.
And then like these 2 films seem to be focused in on the idea of like, don't separate dinosaur babies from their parents. Listen, people, we're all tempted to do it, but just don't. I know that you want to separate, dinosaur eggs from their parents. I know that you want to separate a baby T-Rex from its parent. We've all been there, but we need to work on ourselves and just overcome that desire that we have because it's mean to the dinosaurs. That seems to be what's happening in both of these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are far more interesting stories to be told with dinosaurs on an island. And I don't get why these are the 2 stories that we got as a sequel to Jurassic Park. I don't get it. They're I think that there's an interesting story going on below the surface or out of the purview of the films, really, where like John Hammond kind of talks about how he wants to protect Isla Sorna, that he wants to turn it into a nature preserve essentially, and all of this, and that could be a far better story. And the only real exploration of that we get is the hunter going along with the people who own the island. And it's like, so why couldn't we just have, I don't know, yeah, some people are going to study the dinosaurs, and then other people are coming to, like poachers or hunters or whatever
Yeah.
are coming there. And then we get this, I don't know, this great kind of play between the two different sides where the hunters end up, angering the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs attack both their camp, but then they're more angry at the researchers as well. That's an interesting story that could be explored.
Sure.
The idea
Mhm.
that you could actually observe the dinosaurs safely, but that because of human interference of, these hunters or poachers or whatever, that would disrupt it. That would be really interesting, I think.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. There's that would definitely be a really interesting idea to explore.
Yeah.
There's others that could be explored. These
Yes.
are just terrible ideas.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Because the Lost World, it's like I mean, I don't really even understand what the plot is. It's just you've got a debate between the older Hammond and the younger Hammond over what the future is going to be. It's that, just leave the island alone is what the older Hammond wants. And then the younger Hammond is, greedy and no, we'll turn it into a dino park on the mainland and
Yeah,
it won't be
'cause
what
that's
my dad
cheaper.
wanted. Yeah, because that's somehow cheaper and it's less ambitious somehow, which I'm not convinced of, but okay. And but it's like it's not even getting into a commentary on animals in captivity. It seems like
yeah.
it's trying to do that, but it doesn't. Like
Yeah.
you are right, Tyler, that like it seems like it's kind of outside of the purview of the film but it's kind of referencing, it's alluding to this question of the older Hammond and the younger Hammond, and the older Hammond initially like he didn't even really like want animals in captivity so much because like you look at that and you're like they're in captivity but not like a zoo. Like they've got so
Yeah.
much room to roam and you know what I mean, like it doesn't, you're gonna go to their natural environment and you just kind of get to wander through to some degree, more like a safari than a zoo.
Yeah.
And then his son wants to have just a straight up zoo and he doesn't care about these things at all, but it's not really getting into much beyond that. It's like, so what is the point then? Are you saying that having animals in captivity is bad? Are you saying that going on safari is bad? Are you saying just don't do it with dinosaurs? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that third point.
Right.
Yeah.
Sadly, as somebody who really loves theme parks and everything, that I think that there is a lot of really interesting stuff that could have been explored there that just isn't. I love the discussion in Jurassic Park 1 where they talk about, yeah, but when, Pirates of the Caribbean broke down, the pirates didn't eat people. And this idea that it is like this weird kind of blend between a theme park and a zoo.
Yes.
The idea that it is this island where they had to grow all this, local flora, then that's really interesting. The idea that they were able to bring back those plants. And then, the second movie, it feels like it almost touches on this idea of any theme park company is going to try to economize by making it okay. Well, we're not going to have just the one destination park, and the fact that Jurassic Park on the mainland, it actually says Jurassic Park San Diego underneath. So they clearly have plans to expand this to all sorts
It's
of
like
different
SeaWorld
areas.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some really interesting stuff that could be explored there,
Yeah.
but that isn't.
Yeah.
And then even in Jurassic Park 3, then we get this discussion of there are some animals that weren't on InGen's list of creatures that they had created.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, because if you're developing a theme park, you are absolutely going to need future expansion plans.
Correct.
And the idea of, okay, well, we have the base set of dinosaurs right now, but we're going to get more as we go on.
And it's going to be a secret. And then we'll reveal the new attraction.
Yeah. So I'm like, there's all that fun stuff that's just not really talked about.
No, you're right. It is. Yeah. It's so interesting because it's like they've got this. Ultimately, it's essentially having like a barrel full of good ideas, and they only want to talk about the bad ideas.
Yeah. Okay. And also with like the second one, it's like it feels like a spin-off too, because like it doesn't seem like something that should be in the main trilogy. Like it seems like the main trilogy should be like, I don't know, it seems like this is just like kind of a side story, but like they decide to put on more of a bigger scale.
Yeah.
And like it feels weird. Like it's just like the story doesn't seem like you have Ian Malcolm as the lead, and then you also like are just making like basically a side story, but trying to make that a second part of a trilogy that is like you're trying to make it bigger than it is, and it's just weird. And I am like, I think that is a lot of the problem with that, like with the second one, and like it just like and again they should have just gone with any of the other ideas, but like. And then, like, not even just the idea that they went with is bad. It's kind of how they did it, where it feels like a side story that is being turned into a main trilogy movie. And it just, like, none of it works. None of it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way of putting it, that it feels like a spin-off. And maybe a good equivalent would be, like, an analog to this, would be in Star Wars, where you've got effectively like you've got Jurassic Park and then The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, and then you get into Jurassic World. Jurassic World feels like a legitimate sequel.
Yeah.
Where it's like this is the natural next place to continue the story. But the other two are like interesting little side stories that have happened in between. So it effectively works like Solo or Rogue One in the Star Wars franchise, where it's like Rogue One is an interesting side story that like fills in some of the stuff that's happened in between the big story arc, but it's not really essential to like, it is not essential to see The Lost World or Jurassic Park 3. You could just go Jurassic Park and then Jurassic World.
Right. Well, when they were releasing Jurassic World, then they did clarify that it was a sequel to the original and that 2 and 3 did not happen in this
they said that?
Yeah.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
Really?
So there is a sense of continuity where it's, okay, 2 and 3 are not part of this universe, but Jurassic Park 1 did happen.
Interesting.
So it is really, really interesting that you're bringing up, this idea of 2 and 3 being these little side stories. But I guess the idea behind Jurassic World being a successful theme park wouldn't have happened if the San Diego incident had occurred.
Right.
Yeah.
That then, InGen just would have been done. So, yeah. Yeah, and I feel like we probably will do a separate Jurassic World discussion. But yeah, just in terms of like Jurassic Park, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and then Jurassic Park 3.
You got it.
That I don't know. There's even confusing continuity between those three, because at the end of The Lost World, then we see a pterodactyl that's just out and about, which is like, oh, there are pterodactyls. Cool. Why didn't we get to see them for this entire movie? And then Jurassic Park 3 is like, hey, we're going to show this whole bird cage of pterodactyls, which is like, awesome, we get to see pterodactyls, but why was there at least one that was free in the last movie if apparently all of them are in this birdcage thing? Also, La Sorna.
Is there any other response other than
Don't think
yeah?
so.
All right. The last thing that I really wanted to bring up, and this is something that academics have talked about, like film theorists and film. Well, I guess it'd be more film critics than film theorists, but film critics have talked about the aspect in Jurassic Park of there's a whole lot going on when it comes to absolutely, like, it has to do with theme parks, tie-in merchandise, but then product placement, and it is selling its own merchandise within the film, and that there is this incredible insight into branding and merchandise tie-ins that is so overt and direct in this film that it's not necessarily, I know that some film critics would say that it's, that it's automatically therefore a problem. I don't think that it's automatically therefore a problem, but it's doing really interesting stuff, because you go into the actual, like, with the kids, they go into, like, there's that one scene in Jurassic Park where they're in the main resort area, and it's that sad, slow Jurassic Park theme that's being played at that point, where you see, like, the lunch boxes and all of, like, the toys and stuff like that, and then it's like you can then go and purchase those in the store. That within the Jurassic Park universe, this is a failed business, but as far as Universal, this is an incredibly successful way of showing your merchandise before a person has even left the theater, to then encourage people to then go and buy that tie-in merchandise. So all of that is happening in the first Jurassic Park film. And so with all the criticisms of films that will have, blatant examples of product placement in them, I go, like, but that's not, like, that makes sense within that story, that if you're creating this false this fictional amusement park, the amusement parks have merchandise, and so you would show it in the film, and if people really like the movie, then they would then be inclined to buy it. I don't think that it's a nefarious way of taking advantage of consumers. Some film critics will say that it is, but I don't think so. But then in The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, there seems to be a lot of overt product placement, which I normally don't care about, but I've really noticed it in those movies.
What, you mean about
Especially
that Crunch Bar in
Yes.
the water truck?
Yes. The Crunch Bar in maybe it's just The Lost World that I'm thinking of, but like the Crunch Bar in the, like, that's in 3. With the Crunch Bar, with in The Lost World, then you've got all kinds of examples of it throughout. But for instance, like, when the dude who's, like, trying to, like, pull the whole trailer thing off of the cliff to pull it back onto the mainland, like, the Mercedes logo on the front of it is just so overt. I just felt like I was just watching a Mercedes commercial the entire time as he's doing this. Do you know what I mean? But there was a lot of instances, and then when they're in the city, that it's like the 76 logo of the gas station that's chasing after them. On the sides of buses in the city, then you see actual brands and overt advertising for things. Yeah, I don't know.
Wasn't it Blockbuster as well?
Yeah, you get Blockbuster Video, right? Yeah, and that really, like, changed things for Blockbuster. That's why they are such a huge success to this day, because of that product placement.
Yeah, hide inside a Blockbuster. If you don't, you'll be eaten by a T-Rex.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, like, if you look, I didn't take the chance to pause it, but if you look, there are some funny movie posters in that Blockbuster. I'm pretty sure there's, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger as, like, King Lear. Shakespeare, Arnold Schwarzenegger doing Shakespeare. I'm not kidding. I'm pretty sure that's what I saw when I didn't pause it, but I was like, did that just say Arnold Schwarzenegger, King Lear?
Oh man, that's amazing.
So, I don't know what you guys think, but I guess my point is, in the first film, there's absolutely product placement, but it feels more natural and organic within the film, and then in the other two, it definitely feels like I'm being sold to, that I'm watching a commercial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think one of the things that makes it, different is the majority of the products, the merchandise that we see in Jurassic Park 1 is Jurassic Park merchandise, which is great. And when I was watching it, I was thinking like, oh, how brilliant. They can show, all these things here, and then they can literally just take them like they're props, but then they're able to actually sell them as merchandise. They already
Yes.
have all the designs and everything done for them by that point. So awesome. That is fantastic. That's a brilliant idea. Um, but yeah, no, it is. That's what a theme park is. Anybody who has gone to a theme park ever knows that there are the shops where it has, the park logo on it everywhere.
Especially
Everything.
if you go to a Disney park, then
Right.
Disney is like more shopping than rides.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, yeah, so to me, it doesn't bother me at all. It really does seem like it shows partly how close the park was to actually opening, that they already had all this merchandise done and ready to go.
Right. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't know how close they were to opening because, they're just doing like their first test runs and everything. Um, but but yeah, certainly it seems like, this it feels real. It feels genuine. That Hammond would have all of that merchandise done already, spared no expense.
Right.
Yeah. And in the other two films, like it, yeah, there's nothing like that. There's nothing that references the park or anything. Anything is just, yeah.
I think what's offensive to me about it, which like I said, I genuinely I actually am more of a fan of product placement than most cultural critics, and especially for like considering my background, then it's surprising like how cool I am with product placement. When people complain about it, I usually don't have an issue. I'm like, I'd rather see Coca-Cola than some generic or fictional cola that somebody's drinking, because then I feel like I'm watching a movie. I'm going, I've never seen somebody drink that before, but Coke, I don't blink an eye, because of course we see Coca-Cola all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm genuinely like, or generally okay with product placement, but in both The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, it feels so much like, especially The Lost World, I really have issues with that one, because it feels very much like this is just a stupid, mindless action movie. There's no depth here, and you just made this to make as much money as you can, and then the product placements exist to make even more money on top of that, where it doesn't feel relevant to the story. It just feels like you're trying to just do whatever it takes to earn as much as possible.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more I think about The Lost World, I think Michael Bay should have directed it. Like,
yeah.
That would have been really interesting.
And I feel like it would be pretty much the exact same, just with more explosions and grand things. He might have actually made the dinosaurs feel a lot more like interesting.
Yeah.
I would agree, except I feel like he would make them nearly bulletproof.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That too. I mean, but The Lost World even has explosions, which is so weird. Like when that trailer thing they have falls off the cliff, then it explodes as if it was like full of dynamite or something, or like gasoline.
Or like
I don't.
a chem lab.
Yeah, like a chemical lab. And then the vehicle that then falls on top of it, then like there's an even bigger explosion, and it's just
my goodness. I do have so many issues with that. The fact that like there are pieces of the vehicle that come all the way up to these people, but the people are just holding onto the rope as if nothing is happening.
Yeah.
Like
that rope scene is the worst. That movie.
There's enough of an explosion that stuff is flying up that high. Those people are also going to be flying.
Physics, y'all. Yeah, no, that entire thing, I don't understand. Like, was there a knot at the end of that rope? Okay, because you could take the best Olympians, the best Olympians. Put
Yeah.
3 of them on a single rope, get them to hang there for a very long time, several minutes, and then have one of them drop down, and then another 2 people drop down on top of them on the same rope, and somehow hold on at the end. That the weight of
Yeah.
all those people collapsing in on them won't push them off of the rope. And then it's pouring rain and there's mud
Yeah.
everywhere, and somehow after all of this their grip strength is through the roof, like, because they're then able to pull themselves up what has to be a wet, muddy rope after hanging on it for several minutes, like. And they didn't even like climb properly. They weren't even using their legs to assist them. It was all just arms. That's
Yeah.
body strength. I've watched, American Ninja Warrior. That's impossible.
Yeah,
You see
not
that?
to mention, like, oh my goodness, the rope burn.
I know.
Yeah,
Rope burn
yeah.
too. Maybe like the solution was, well, it's raining, so that won't. You know what I mean?
That's not how that works.
I know. It's like, well, then it's just going to be slippery, so then that won't solve that. Like that entire thing, and then the whole thing falls like, like around them as it goes to the ground. Ugh. I'm saying, as dumb as Jurassic Park 3 is, it's a lot better than that. Like the only thing in Jurassic Park 3 that I think is really, really bad is where what's her name? Tia Leone, who, like, the wife of William H. Macy. I don't know the character names, but anyway, Tia Leone. Then, like, when her dead boyfriend, parachute guy, when she's tangled up and the camera is like, canting to either side, and it's like zooming in and out, and like she just won't stop screaming, and she's just tied up in the ropes, and also like how decomposed he is at this point. And I'm like, there's so much that scene. I go, okay, that's really bad.
Absolutely. Also, I remembered that character's name is Amanda. And that is
Right.
absolutely how our sister Amanda would react.
That is true. She would. And it would just be like, if you stop screaming for half a second, you could get out. Like, and that whole thing, it's not just how long it goes on for, it's what they're doing with the camera. It felt like Star Trek, like the original Star Trek, of like, ooh.
Yeah.
And so many cuts and everything. And it's
like, there's a lot of cuts.
I get it. That's a dead body. It's been there for 8 weeks and somehow looks like it's been there for 8 years.
Yeah.
And that does actually bring me to another point. The timeline of this is so messed up. InGen had, like, they had abandoned the park, I guess immediately after Jurassic Park happened, right? Immediately after the first movie's events. And yet in The Lost World, which takes place 4 years later, I was paying attention, and it says 4 years later, all these facilities are like overgrown and everything. And I'm that's not how quickly that would happen. And then they get to Jurassic Park 3, and it's even worse. And I'm like, even still, no. It looks like it's been abandoned for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know. I don't know. It kind of feels like
these were brand new facilities 4 years ago.
The thing is like, I mean, I'm not an expert in tropical climates, but it definitely feels like somebody, like when you watch something that's set in the north and it's filmed by people who have never been in a wintry landscape ever, like how fake that looks and how like they think it must be to be in a northern climate, and you're just like, that's not it. That's how this feels. It feels like somebody who doesn't know what the tropics are like, so then they're like, "Woo, jungles can do anything." And it's just like, no, I don't think they can. I don't think it would do that, because I mean, if you look at like any, like, I know it's not the jungle, but you look at like Chernobyl, for instance, and Chernobyl, things are still surprisingly intact.
Right.
And like you look at that and you're like, there's not even nearly as much dust as you might think on like photographs, and you know what I mean, like things like that are just hanging around in different places. Like I've watched videos of like the actual Chernobyl site, and it's not as bad as you would think. And so I don't know. I know that a jungle, like a tropical climate, would be worse, but like that after 4 years, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in Jurassic Park 3, with the staircase in the bird cage that just falls off. What is
Oh my
that?
goodness. Who was their contractor? Like, what construction company
Yeah.
built that thing? Because they should be sued, because that is terrible. That's just like the fact that it would fall apart after 4 years. Are you kidding me?
There was
Yeah.
no weight on it either, really. It's just like one step, like 1 foot lands on it, and then it's just the whole thing falls. It's just okay.
Yeah. No, I know. It definitely that makes no sense. It makes no sense. And other than just they're like, this will be exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why blockbuster movie making in Hollywood, I don't understand why they don't get the fact that what is exciting for most people is realism.
Yeah.
That is genuinely what creates the most suspense, is when it is realistic, when it's believable. When it
Yeah.
becomes cartoonish, then you can't achieve a suspension of disbelief, or at least it's way harder, because it feels like there's no stakes and nothing that you know about the world matters anymore.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, just have the place be unfinished if you want to have it
Sure.
be like that.
That'd be such a great solution. Yeah,
Yeah.
like in the
Yeah.
birdcage thing, then it's just like, oh, the stairs go up to a certain point, whatever.
Yeah. Have
I-
them still be like under construction, and that's
Yeah.
why it falls apart. Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
That would
that.
work.
But
I will say though that when the pterodactyl makes its first appearance like this,
Mhm.
it's a pretty cool image.
It is. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
I-
give it up.
And I love when
I'm-
Alec just kicks him in the head.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa, all right.
Right. Yeah, I'm so happy that we got to see pterodactyls
Yeah.
in Jurassic
Yeah.
Park 3, and that's one of the reasons why I'm like, it's good, because that's the thing is that like not great, but good.
Right.
But like the Lost World, it focuses on like 3 different kinds of dinosaurs. That's it. You've
Yep.
got the T-Rex, you've got the raptors, and then you've got those little baby things.
Yes.
Which are so stupid.
Yeah.
And yet somehow very, very dangerous, if you get,
Yeah.
10 of them on you.
Yeah. And boy, did Spielberg fall in love with tracking shots in The
Right.
Lost World. Oh, let's like track it through the jungle. He fell in love with that. Oh my goodness. Like, I think it's like, I don't know what was going on, but he had been watching a lot of Stanley Kubrick or something. Because he then did AI not all that long afterwards, and Stanley
Right.
Kubrick does a lot of tracking shots. But I don't think they worked very well. Not in this, not in, like, I think they can, but not in The Lost World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it ends up, like you say, Tyler, it feels so closed in, instead of like pulling back and let's see everything. Then instead it's zooming in on this enclosed environment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any final thoughts, because I want to wrap this up?
The dad from the third one looks like Ned Flanders.
That's a great final comment.
That's the best. I just want like a whole string of final thoughts like that. Just you like flipping through pages. Roasted. But I agree. Yes, William H. Macy in this film in particular definitely looks like Ned Flanders.
Yes.
Yeah, both of you, sir.
Oh man.
Like Tyler, any final thoughts? And Luke, if you have any others, feel free to share.
I'd say Jurassic Park 1 is still a masterpiece after I don't even know how many years it's been, 26,
6, I think.
yeah,
Wow.
still a masterpiece. And the Lost World is a thing where you get a lot of Jeff Goldblum, but he's not really Jeff Goldblum.
He's not Jeff Goldblum. He's not charming Jeff Goldblum. He's just
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And then you get Jurassic Park 3 with, some awkward moments, but overall, it's not as bad as people say it is.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, because it actually has some good character to it, in it. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really a big fan of. Well, I wasn't really invested in Jurassic Park when I was growing up because I didn't really care that much about dinosaurs. But I did see the first Jurassic Park, and then I saw Jurassic Park 3 on TV, and eventually, within the last year, I finally saw The Lost World. Now I've seen it twice in the past year, and I never want to see it again.
Yeah, I think that's the right move to never see it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird trilogy, if you want to call it that.
Oh.
I don't think that it's a trilogy, though. It's just
No.
it's one film and then a spin-off and then kind of a sequel.
That's exactly what it is. That's a great way of describing it. It's one film,
Yeah.
and then a spin-off, and then kind of a sequel. That's it.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke, do you have any other final thoughts?
Not a whole lot. I mean, if you're doing Indiana Jones 5, just make it Jurassic Park and Indiana Jones crossover.
Right.
Because Alan Grant is sort of Indiana Jones-esque in some
Yes.
scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
He very
I
much
mean,
is.
yeah. But other than that, I don't really have any final thoughts. I think you guys have covered a lot of what I was going to say, and it is, yeah. I think we all just generally agree on most of the things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just my only real final thought is I remember, because I'm old enough to remember when Jurassic Park, the first film, was in theaters, and I remember that it was such a phenomenon. And I remember the trailers on TV and all of that, because I was 10 or so at the time. And I remember people could not, there were people who saw it multiple times and just kept talking about how spectacular the film was and how you have to see it on the big screen. And I remember other people were like, I cannot believe that this movie is still in theaters, because it was months in the theater, because it was just people couldn't get enough of it at the time. And the criticism against it was just it was like a fad, and it felt at the time, it felt like a fad, to the point that the Toronto NBA team, our new NBA team at the time, was named the Toronto Raptors, right? That it was we were caught up in the Jurassic Park mania, right? That there was a period of time in the mid 90s of it was so exciting. And but now looking back at it, then you go, the hype was real though. Jurassic Park remains an incredible film.
Absolutely.
It continues to do everything that it should do. Visually, it's incredible to look at. We haven't talked about it that much, and I just wanted to say, it's there's a certain amount of, it doesn't need any help to be appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know that's exactly it, because I do feel like we didn't really talk as much about Jurassic Park 1, but that it's just, what is there to say that hasn't already been said 1,000 times?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I do know
it has the music, the iconic music, and just incredible iconography associated with it.
Throughout.
The logo. Everybody knows the logo of Jurassic Park.
Great writing, great characterization, everything about it is just so well done, and it holds up so well. And when I finally did watch it, and because we did not see it in the theater, because our family did not really go to the theater all that much when I was a kid. And when we did watch it, then we watched it as a family. And I remember our older sister, Amanda, who continues to be terrified by Jurassic Park, because she's a bit of a wimp when it comes to anything kind of scary. And the scene where the lawyer goes into the bathroom and then gets eaten while he's on the toilet. I mean, that was it for her. She was done. And that is, I don't know, that's one of the best scenes that in movie history, of the dude who just runs into the bathroom and then it flies apart and then literally gets eaten while he's on the toilet. I don't know who came up with that, But wow, bravo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know why he thought that he would be safer in the washroom than he was in the car.
Yeah, I don't know either. And like, Jeff, well, hey, when you gotta go when you gotta go, like.
Right.
But I think it's sort of like, not only is it just so freaky, but it's also one of those things of like, if you've ever had like the fear in a public washroom where the stall door is going to be opened by somebody,
Yeah.
or if like the lock doesn't work that well, then you're like, oh no, what if somebody barged in and I'm going to the bathroom, and then it's like, imagine that, but a T-Rex. Like, I think that's the conversation that happened. People are like, that would be the scariest bathroom situation I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
All right.
On that note.
On that note, we're going to finish the podcast. So thank you so much for watching, folks. Feel free to comment on any of the stuff that we've talked about, and subscribe and like and share and all of that stuff. All right. We'll see you next time. Bye.
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 Ignore the bell, people. We're gonna keep going. We're still ignoring it. Don't worry. I don't know what that. I think that's the fire drill. All right. We're gonna go home. Yeah. All right. We're done.